Welcome back into the AFC South Roundtable. Before we talk about the Jaguars, let's give a big shout out to BetUS. And guys, BetUS has Super Bowl odds out there. Will it be the Chiefs? Will it be the Eagles? Are you guys boycotting because we all hate both these teams? I'll be watching because I'm just a sicko. But if you guys are interested, go to BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 for a 50% deposit bonus up to $2,000 and 125% on your second and third. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the AFC South Roundtable. Now let's talk about these Jaguars. So before the 2024 season, Shad Khan addressed the Jaguars saying that this is the best roster and this is the best set of coaches that this Jacksonville Jaguars organization has ever constructed. The Jaguars essentially ended the season 4-13. So to look back on the season, yeah, it was a complete failure. I mean, the Jaguars failed in pretty much all different aspects. I mean, everybody seemed to have regressed. The only real players that I felt like for the Jaguars that actually progressed were guys that were going from their like first to second year. It's like, oh, well, Britton Strange got better, our tight end. Oh, well, running back Tank Bigsby got better. But a lot of this just comes from guys going from their first to second year. I mean, it was really bad. The coaching was not bad, was not good, and just the roster wasn't constructed very good. So that was the reason why the Jaguars moved on from Doug Peterson. And, Trent Baalke, the GM, wasn't good. And essentially, in order for the Jaguars to get a good head coach, nobody wanted to work with Trent Baalke. That's why he was out of here. So really, when you look at the 2024 season, it was as big of a failure as you can ever imagine. But, sometimes you had to hit rock bottom in order to get above it. Because even if Doug Peterson had coached these guys great and all this stuff, or, even if maybe a great roster was given to Doug Peterson, like it doesn't feel like this was the right set of coaches and just the right front office structure. Now, when you look at it, the Jaguars have young offensive coordinator turned head coach in Liam Cohen, who the Jaguars fans are really, really excited for. They also obviously have a GM opening, which by the time you watch this video, maybe the Jaguars have a GM, but most likely not. Things are changing every single day for the Jaguars. So, that's something that's really, really exciting. So, the Jaguars will have a chance to really get a fresh start. And that's not like the Jaguars are going to be rebuilding in 2025. I mean, the pieces are there. You have a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. You have wide receiver one and Brian Thomas Jr. You have kind of pieces all over the team. I mean, it's not a great roster right now, but you're not bare thin. You're not scraping the barrel for nothing, and you have to look at the next two seasons as rebuilding years and trying to stack talent. The Jaguars are not that. So the Jaguars will have an opportunity to, really make a push, but some things had to go on. But yeah, in 2024, it was a failure, really. The most disappointing thing was honestly, Trevor Lawrence. We all really wanted him to ascend, but he just didn't. Now, a lot of excuses can be made for Trevor Lawrence, which rightfully so. I thought his first few games weren't great, especially after the Miami game. But, I thought at times he was really the only bright spot of the Jaguars. But, he got injured. We missed a lot of action from him this year. And, now it's kind of put up or shut up time. Look, I believe in Trevor Lawrence, but now the Jaguars have given him an opportunity where, hey, we have this really good head coach coming in who did a lot of good things with both Baker Mayfield and Will Levis. And we are going to let him run this offense and really cater this offense around you. So now, if the Jaguars somehow strike out on Trevor Lawrence, we can't sit here and say that we didn't try our hardest. And that's one reason why I was not wanting to get like a Robert Saleh or hire one of these defensive guys because, I'm sitting here saying, man, I want a young offensive mind, and I don't want to be in the Bucs situation, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they have Todd Bowles and he hires a good offensive coordinator and they get hired after a year. I mean, that happened with Danny Canales, and now it happened with Liam Cohen, and they're just kind of recycling through offensive coordinators. So, I like the Jaguars hire, but yeah, they had to do a lot better. I mean, the Jaguars rushing attack is another thing. A lot of people want to focus on Trevor Lawrence and the passing attack, right? Oh, Trevor Lawrence is this, is that. One thing that's been working against Trevor Lawrence is the fact that you the rushing attack has not been good. I mean, in 2023, they were 24th in yards per game, and in 2024, they were 26th in rushing yards per game, which is just not good. It's not acceptable. And the Jaguars need to continue to build up the interior of the offensive line, and that's one thing that I think the Jaguars were focused on. I think that the Jaguars have a very good chance of potentially, making Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs the highest paid guard. I will continue to draft there because the Jaguars have no building blocks at the interior of the offensive line. People might bring up a Cooper Hodges, but he hasn't played enough to prove that. Ezra Cleveland, yeah, he's going into his sixth NFL season. Yeah, he's young, still young, but don't know if I'd consider him a true building block. And right now, Brandon Sheriff is still slated to start. You also have Mitch Morse at center. I mean, you just have a bunch of old guys there. It's time to draft, develop, and have young, cheap talent there. You know what I mean? To start for you. So that's one big thing that the Jaguars need to do, and just bring back the rushing attack. I don't know what to do with the running backs. Travis Etienne going into his fifth year. They did pick up his fifth-year option. I'd be interested to see if, Liam Cohen tries to make him RB1 or Tank Bigsby RB1. This is the beauty about now that we have a new head coach and new GM. Now, fresh set of eyes can look at this roster, can look at this team, and start playing players not based on where they were drafted, but, how these guys actually evaluate them. Because if Liam Cohen sits here and doesn't think Etienne is that good, then he doesn't have to play him. It's not his fault because he's not really tied to him. So, yeah, try to get this rushing attack back, and, it all starts with the trenches, man. Liam Cohen said it. It starts with the trenches. That's the first thing that the defense sees when they break the huddle, and Liam Cohen likes to be able to run the ball, so you got to be able to push some guys. The Jaguars' offensive line has been decent in pass protection, but run blocking wise, they just haven't been pushing people. And got to get some good coaches in there too. I thought Anton Harrison kind of took a step back. Walker Little, good pass pro, but not great at run blocking. So Jaguars need to bring that back. Defensively, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start with the defense. The defense was just so bad last year, and probably a lot of it had to do with Ryan Nielsen. And when the Jaguars have had success, it's been when turnovers have been created. But when turnovers are not created, the Jaguars defense kind of gets exposed. Right now we have maybe two building blocks in the secondary. That's cornerback Tyson Campbell and cornerback Jarian Jones, who's going into his second year. We might need to completely overhaul the safety group. We need another outside cornerback, which I expect the Jaguars to attack early on in the draft. So the secondary is definitely a mess, and I'd expect the Jaguars to, continue to do something at the defensive line. I mean, keep building guys up. I know the big weak spot has been, the Jaguars' third edge rusher spot. After losing Arden Key, they never really filled that. And this year, the Jaguars tried to fill that with Arik Armstead, who was playing way out of position, and it was announced that, he's going to move back to the interior next year. And apparently, he didn't even want to play on the outside. The Jaguars just kind of put him there. So, terrible coaching last year. I mean, a lot of times, you can blame the players all you want, but if everybody is regressing on the defense, it's coaching. You know what I mean? So yeah, the Jaguars, some things had to happen there. So I am optimistic about the future, mainly because I believe in Trevor Lawrence, and now I believe in this new coaching staff. Now we can have a GM here that I don't have. When I look at draft profiles, I don't have to completely put an X on if their arms are too small. Because that's what Trent Baalke liked to do, man. He liked to draft players based on traits and not draft players based on how good or bad they are. So that's going to be really a big thing for the Jaguars, is being able to build that up. But yeah, I'd expect the Jaguars in 2025. Of course, there's a lot of work to do. We don't know who the offensive, defensive coordinators are. We don't know who the GM is. There's still some things to do on the roster, but the Jaguars do have a lot of cap space, so they can spend some money. I'd expect for the Jaguars to compete for an AFC title this upcoming season, definitely, and hopefully overtake the Houston Texans. But yeah, a couple weeks ago, especially over the course of January, I really didn't have a lot of hope in the Jaguars because they were keeping Trent Baalke, and I didn't think we'd get a good GM because I'd be sitting here. If the Jaguars had Robert Saleh and Trent Baalke, I would not be very optimistic. But now that we have Liam Cohen and, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli, these guys are going to help build the Jaguars front office and everything. I'm feeling pretty excited to be a Jaguars fan. I really am. So it's good times. And I think next order of business, hey, why don't we make these back to the primary uniforms? That would really, really make 2025 something special. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring. Go Jags.
This video is powered by BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 to get your 150% sign-up bonus. Start playing today with an exclusive offer. Shout out to BetUS for being the proud sponsor of Roundtable Sports.